Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight. Thursday night into Friday night now, Moonbats. Thanks for flapping them with us and staying up late. We're going to be getting into some news and information for you here tonight on the show, as well as continuing our reading in the series of The Lost Book of Enki. So we'll be getting into that tonight as well for you. So thanks for joining us here with you tonight. I wasn't live yesterday because it was my birthday and I was hanging out with friends and whatnot. So thanks to everybody who sent birthday wishes and emails in the chat room and everything else. Appreciate that very much. And hope you guys are having a good night. Hope you're ready for this. I did a super duper fantastic interview yesterday with Henrik Palmgren on Red Ice Creations, Red Ice Radio, and my listeners have been sending messages for over 2 years now and trying to get them to have me on, and they finally listened. So thanks to everybody out there who's been trying to get me on there. It went fantastic, I thought. I mean, we didn't really have time to really scratch the surface. I didn't really get to go that deep into a lot of the CMP information, and I didn't get to get out a lot of things I really wanted to mention there on the show. But I still think that it was a good show. I think it was really great. I think it's going to reach a lot of people. Probably is going to reach a lot of people pertaining to CMP information and a lot of other information as well, my show and the film. So thanks to Henry for having me over there. I thought he conducted a really great interview, and I had a nice time. It should be, people have been asking me when it's going to air. It should, I think that it's supposed to be airing sometime the next week. I've got to send over some high-res pictures of myself so they can make one of those nice, those neat little things, collages they have of the people that come on. So, yeah, it should be airing in the next week, man. 2 hour, it'll be 1 hour. I guess you get is just a regular hour, and the second hour is for subscribers or whatever. But we'll try to get both of those copies of both of those for you. I'll try to get copies of those, and we'll put them up on our website for you guys to download as well. But just super stoked about that. A big step for me, and a big step for my broadcast, for my work. 4 years of work. I think that's it's just a big thing, I mean, that's getting my work out there to a lot more people that probably weren't going to hear it before. And so I think that's one of the things I like about that show. I said that to Henrik in the interview yesterday. I talked about how, it seems that when you listen to Red Ice Radio, the great thing about it is that, they don't really censor. They don't censor who or what they bring on there, because I've listened to that network and heard some kooky shit on some of those shows sometimes, and I said that to Henrik yesterday on the show. He kind of cracked up laughing, but he was really nice and really cool guy. And I asked him maybe if he'd come on this show sometime, and really, I felt like he really had done his homework a little bit. Although the only thing I'll say that he didn't do his homework on is he said, "Oh, so you're on and you do your show on Oracle Broadcasting?" It's like, no, I haven't been there since 2009. But yeah, I thought it was really good. We got into the CMP stuff. We got into a lot of the stuff of the owl being Minerva, and we got into that, and I got into some of the deeper elements of why the CMP stuff is important, the connections to the bloodlines, how that connects to the priest class, into that stuff. And Henrik seemed to know quite a bit about that, man. So I think they said that, I'm not sure how many, they sent me an insane number. I didn't realize that Red Ice, I guess, they have I knew it was big, but I didn't realize they had that many listeners. They said it'd be something between 100,000 on the low side and like 900,000 on the high side. Well, that's huge. You know, I mean, we reach a few hundred or a few thousand a week here, but not 100,000 at a pop. That's, that's massive. So, that's good. And and the other good news is, on top of the fact that it went well and it's airings, and the other good news is they want me back. So they're going to have me back on. So this was not just a one-time deal. I think Henrik said at the end, after the interview, that he felt it went well enough, and he really was just thought it was a fantastic show. He really just thought I just smashed it. And I tell you what I did. I am pretty good at packing a lot of info in a small space, and I think I was successful at packing a lot of info in a small space. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, but it went by really fast. Really fast. And we didn't have any commercials or anything like that. But I'm looking forward to you guys hearing it. And I'm looking forward to going back on there. And I think it's going to be, kind of that springboard I've been needing for quite some time now to get my my work and my research out to more people. So very, very happy about that. Very just a very awesome opportunity for me and the broadcast, and it's just really cool, man. Feels really good to have done that. And I feel like I don't know, I feel like I did a good job. And I'll tell you a little secret too. Hopefully, if Henrik hears this, he won't be mad about this. But I can assure you, really, the only people that heard it were the people I live with, and a few, maybe 4 or 5 listeners in the chat room at most. Not that many people heard it, but when we started the interview, I clicked over because it's all my Skype and all my stuff here that I'm talking through. It all comes out of one computer and feeds into the stream on the other computer. So if I have calls or if I have a guest on, all I gotta do is it just goes right into the stream, right? So I sort of sneakily switched the stream on yesterday when we were doing. So there's a handful of people, 7 or 8 people probably, that got to actually hear the entire interview live. That's just a little surprise I was doing. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't really plan on it. I just, there were only a handful of people listening. If there'd have been a bunch of people listening, I might not have done it, but it was middle of the day, and there were only archives playing anyway, and there weren't that many people listening. So I was like, fuck it. If there's anybody listening, they'll get to hear a special treat. So yeah, there were some chatters in there that got to hear the whole show. It was pretty cool. So, I just switched it on, carried it live, and I didn't archive it or anything on my end, but yeah, it's going to be good, and you guys are going to enjoy it. So, if you're already familiar with a lot of my work and a lot of stuff, with my show, and you listen to my show all the time, don't expect any new information is kind of what I'm saying. It's good to listen to. I think you'll enjoy it, but, it's not like I was really bringing out anything new there. And that's not really what that was about anyway. It was just really about trying to present me and my vibe and where I'm coming from and what I'm doing with this and what my experience in this has been. I really got into detailing how I went from being, sort of a dyed-in-the-wool, hardcore mainstream Patriot Truth person to transforming the things that transpired to transform me into, getting out of that paradigm and that thinking. He gave me a lot of time to really explain that. So I think that more than anything that broadcast is going to be really did a lot, is going to do a lot towards really introducing me and as a person and as a researcher and where I'm coming from, and into kind of introducing me to a larger audience that may not have ever heard of me. Probably a lot of people who are really going to listen to that haven't heard of me, and it's going to kind of give them a little reference point for who I am. And, you know, because if somebody's listening to you for the first time and you just come out of the gates, you know, spouting a bunch of horse shit about, you know, plant this, fed that, op this, you know, spook that, this person's this, that, and you just come out with a lot of hate and vitriol, you're gonna lose people immediately. They're not gonna give a fuck one about what you said. And my friends told me that, actually Delphi said that she thought that I did a fantastic job of just really peppering in little jabs at Jones, but doing it in a totally tasteful way and not doing it in any way that was, you know, hateful or coming with any sort of, you know, venom behind it or anything like that. And that's, you know, that's how you reach people. You know, got to be diplomatic about this in some ways. You know, I've become more that way only because I have so much proof now. You know, I used to be rah, rah, and really, you know, oh, you need to look at this, and rah, you're stupid if you don't, you know about the CMP stuff, blah, blah, blah. You know, you're stupid if you don't know Jones is a Fed. Well, I still believe that, but, you know, whatever. What I mean is, once you have as much evidence as we have now, there, you know, it's kind of like, well, it's kind of like all this stuff, really. You know, you just kind of take the attitude that, man, if you don't see this now, there's just no helping you. And that's, you know, that's sort of the stance I took. But I think it was good, and I think that a lot of people that haven't heard of me, and you know, I think they're going to get a better representation of me and my work because, you know, I just put it out there, and I, you know, it said, hey, look, I'm just putting this out there in the court of public opinion. You guys can look into it for yourselves, judge what you want. That's my attitude about all this. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a really cool thing. I think in the future, when we do future broadcasts over there with Red Ice, I think that that I'll probably end up being able to come back on and get into some deeper stuff and get more into some of the things we got. Because I didn't really get to get into some of the finer points of why, you know, telling his audience why the CMP stuff is important. But, you know, hey, hopefully they'll listen to this broadcast or email me questions. I should have gave out my email address. Let me do that now here tonight on this broadcast. If you want to send me emails anytime, things for me to read on the show, questions for the show, for me to answer for you during the show, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. It's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. If you are a new listener and you just started tuning into us because of listening to the well, it hasn't aired yet, but just, you know, in general, we get new listeners all the time. I get messages every day from people that say they just found the show, and that's really good. But if you are a new listener, again, my website where this broadcast originates from is www.theglobalreality.com. It's www.theglobalreality.com. And a lot of people listen to the show on YouTube now. We've got Illuminated Scam there, holding it down for us over in Britain, in the big UK. He posts the shows daily on his YouTube channel that he created specifically for the Global Reality, which is just awesome. This is such a cool thing. And so we've found a whole new audience there through YouTube. And that was something I always wanted to do, and I just don't have the time every day to go through and edit broadcasts and put them out. But, you know, if somebody else, I had said for the longest time, if somebody else wanted to take that upon themselves to do that, it'd be great. And I've been super lucky with that as well, with people who have just wanted to help out. And, you know, if they can't donate monetarily, they want to donate, you know, their time and their craft or whatever. That's what Man Hydra does. He's our webmaster. He runs all our stuff, and he does it totally free of charge. And, you know, posts everything I need posting, puts all the news stories up for us, just does a super duper job. And I couldn't do this without him. He's just great, you know. And Illuminate Scam, you know, he posts the stuff on YouTube, and that's gotten us out to a whole new audience as well. And just those kind of things like that, you know, people just coming in and saying, hey, you know, look, take the bull by the horns and do this. I like that. So I appreciate all the people out there who do their part and chip in on what I'm trying to do with this, man. It's great. Both with your actions and monetarily as well, the people that chip in every week and every month and help keep us going and help keep us pushing forward. And I mean, if we hadn't gotten this far, you know, if you guys hadn't kept supporting us and help keeping us afloat every month, I wouldn't have gotten to the point I am now. Wouldn't have gotten here where we were now, reaching a lot more people on Red Eyes. You guys are totally responsible for that. So again, thank you so much. And there at the website, theglobalreality.com, we have the Chipping Band, the donate button there. If you want to donate towards our work, the Chipping Band is for the bills. The donate button is towards films and us buying new equipment, new stuff like that. So that's where you can do that at. We got news tonight for you. Not a lot. And really only some, and we have no PAP. I'm really, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. My news stacks every day are getting smaller because, oh God. Well, number one, the larger amounts of bullshit that come out on a daily basis, number one. But number two, just trying to narrow this stuff down to stuff I think is most important. So, all right, let's delve into this news tonight. I don't have any emails. Let me check the stack real quick. I don't think we have any emails here tonight that I needed to answer. Let me double check though. Let's see. Oh, here's one. This is from Andre. Andre's been a big listener for a long time. So thank you, Andre, for the email, man. I appreciate you sticking around for all these years and listening to the broadcast. I think he started listening back to the show back in, 2008, maybe? Something like that, Andre. I think so. It says, hey, Josh, hope you had a happy birthday. We live within a couple of 100 miles of the Missouri River. I have some localized input for you. The cause of all this flooding is due to Army Corps of Engineers holding the dams near capacity before the spring thaw, when the new snowpack was 3 times the average in the Bighorns and the Rockies. The flooding will go on till August. In areas like Minot and Bismarck, we now have a state of martial law to prevent looting. If you have a home in the area cordoned off, you have to apply for a special permit to go in it. A friend was working on his mother's house in the Pierre, South Dakota area and had 4 cop cars fly into his yard with weapons drawn. He wasn't aware he needed clearance to get in his own house. This is the heart of Second Amendment country, and there's nothing like a natural disaster to get people used to martial law. Peace out, Andre. Well, thank you for that info, Andre. And yeah, it's just like Katrina. You can't help but think that Katrina was a dry run for these much larger geoengineered weather systems where, as Andre said, they can, have an excuse to clamp down and not allow people to go into their homes and use martial law and all the rest of this stuff to do that. So, I mean, I talked about that and mentioned that that's why they were doing this and keeping this hush-hush. And, yeah, that's somebody had sent an email earlier in the week asking about, the rewilding of America and Agenda 21 and all that stuff. And that's part of it. If you don't see the direct line between, geoengineering, weather, climate, warfare, and Agenda 21, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can help you. But there is a direct line there if you look at it. I mean, of course, rewilding, that's what cause floods, cause natural disasters. Cause these places, just you can blame it on global warming and say, oh, yeah, these places are unlivable to man now. And then, there you go. Wow, this is it's an interesting email here. It says, what can I do, W-A-T, what can I do to archive this? It says, I want to start my own talk show. What can I do to archive this goal? Where can I go for help? Please send me addresses. And that's all it says. No hi, hello, fuck you. I'm a big fan. I've been listening for a while. Want to start my own show. I want to give me some tips. I want to start my own talk show. What can I do to archive this goal? Please send me help for addresses. Okay, well, if you're not, maybe it's from another country. I don't know. Blog Talk Radio. Boom, there you go. All you need to know. Just go there and you can start your own talk show. Let's see. Here's another email from the Great White North. Lots of listeners up there in Canada. Hi, Josh. I found your site recently, and I have been listening to you read the Lost Book of Enki. Anyhow, I found it fascinating that the book alludes to the fact that we're basically created by off-planet entities. It doesn't allude to it. It doesn't basically say that. It does. It very much indeed says it. In fact, where we're going to be reading from tonight, from the Lost Book of Enki, we're picking up where we left off the other night, and the part it's going to be starting on tonight is where they're discussing the Anunnaki who came to Earth to mine the gold, staging a revolt because of the labor conditions of work mining the gold on Earth, and because of, the Earth's orbit, they age rapidly. So this is where they're discussing creating the Homo sapien human race for a slave race, and they get into that. So that's what we're going to be getting in tonight. And so thank you there for that email. globalrealityshow@gmail.com. It's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. You want to send an email tonight. And I will read it. Let's see here. Here's the one from the London Independent. Very interesting article. This came out on Tuesday. The very secret history of Area 51. Well, that's fitting. We play Hangar 18 is our 5-minute warning song now. So when you hear Hangar 18 on the stream, that means the show's going to be starting soon. Because everybody was saying, you need to give us something, give us a red light or a flash, or give us something to let us know when there's going to be a live show. And so I said, okay. Hangar 18 where they kept, at Area 51 where they keep all the UFOs and aliens at, right? So although that was a perfect song for 5-minute warning here, but no one on the ground or in Pakistan's air defense spotted Area 51's latest toy as it kept watch on Osama bin Laden's compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan on the night of the U.S. raid that killed the Taliban leader. Rather than one of the UFOs that the wilder fringes of the internet believe the military has stashed away at America's top secret military site in Nevada, this toy was actually the latest Star Wars type drone or unmanned aerial vehicle developed at the base whose existence Uncle Sam only barely admits. Named the Beast of Kandahar after it was snapped at Kandahar Air Base in Afghanistan back in 2009, this stealthy gray batwing-shaped long-distance reconnaissance drone, officially known as the RQ-170 Sentinel, was a throwback to Area 51's golden age before the advent of the spy satellite put the spy plane out of business. Well, that's absolutely false. They still use spy planes, and they still use the U-2 spy plane. They still use the SR-71 Blackbird. I mean, yeah, we have all those keyhole satellites, we have things, but they still use spy planes. To say that they don't is just that just shows a lack of knowledge. Do your research. They still use plenty of spy planes. Satellites are just a constant thing. While for the post-X-Files generation, Area 51 will always be associated with conspiracy theories from aliens to time machines, for journalists such as Annie Jacobson, its purpose was, and indeed is, to develop and test the latest kit from the military-industrial complex that helps to maintain America's superpower status. Area 51 was the single most important Cold War facility, as it was set up to push science faster and further than the Soviet Union, says Jacobson, author of Area 51, An Uncensored History. Yeah, and this chick's on a book tour right now, so they have to mention her in this article. I'm not going to read. Fuck her. I don't care about her fucking bullshit book anyway. Bunch of disinfo crap from what I've seen. I'm not going to pimp her book. Sorry, I'm not going to read that part. I'll skip down. Sitting on the edge of a dry... I hate that, Give me an article. Give me information. Don't plug somebody's fucking new work and use your article to plug somebody's work in the middle of an article. We want facts. We want info. We don't give a damn about who's got a new book coming out. Sitting on the edge of a dried-up lake bed, cradled by mountains only 90 miles or so from the fantasy world of downtown Las Vegas, it is perhaps not surprising that it is hard to separate the myth from the fact of Area 51 or Groom Lake, as old-timers have traditionally called it. Even Area 51 sounds like an exercise in branding, as do its other names of Dreamland, Paradise Ranch, or Homey Airport. And there is something sinisterly not quite real about the use of deadly force authorized signs that stand guard on the base's perimeter, which can be found just outside of the 4,687 square miles of Nevada test and training range, And right next to the 1,350 square miles of the Nevada test site, where hundreds of nuclear weapons were exploded above and below ground until test ban treaties of 1963 and 1996. However, recent declassified documents have helped to shed light on the facts about the myths of Area 51, from the U-2 spy plane missions that helped to unlock the secrets of the Soviet Union in the 1950s to the groundbreaking stealthily A-12 that was obsolete before it even first served its country, and the record-breakingly fast recon plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, which helped to spot North Vietnamese missile bases in the late 1960s and 70s. And from the beginnings of stealth technology to the development of the F-117 stealth fighter itself, which was one of the few Allied aircraft able to penetrate the air defenses around the downtown Baghdad area and then bomb accurately. Also brought to light was the test flying of acquired Soviet MiG fighters in mock combat situations, which led to the founding of the Top Gun pilot program made famous by the 1980s film of the same name. So I guess what they're talking about, I mean, I'm trying to get to the point here. The point of this is supposed to be that there's some new information they're telling us that we didn't already know about Area 51, but they're not. They're just telling us everything we already know, or at least what the admitted historical record is here. And the rest of this is just Annie Jacobson. The rest of the whole thing is just a pimping of her book. And I've seen 2 or 3 of these articles come out and haven't covered them. And I saw this one and said, okay, cool. Finally, something about Area 51 or something that I can, a news story that's out that I can cover that's not going to have to do with this goddamn book. And of course, I was wrong. So there you go. I got to give Annie Jacobson one of these.
Suck Satan's cock, bitch.
Yeah, she deserves it. Why we love chips. I mean, that's a question everybody out there is wondering. I know a lot of you out there in the audience are probably wondering that question right now. You're probably staring. Why do I love chips so much? I don't know. Why we love chips. The natural cannabis-like chemicals that drive our lust for junk food. Eating just one chip or a crisp without then devouring the rest is almost impossible for most people to do. Now scientists have worked out why it's so difficult to walk away from tasty but unhealthy food. The fats in these snacks trigger a surprising biological mechanism that likely drives our gluttonous behavior. The culprit is natural marijuana-like chemicals in the body called endocannabinoids. Researchers from the University of California, Irvine found. See, that makes a lot of sense to me, because so what that's telling us is that if we have endocannabinoids in our body, then we have natural things in our body that produce the high when certain things are put inside of it. For instance, the chemical element MDMA, commonly known as ecstasy. Well, any of the psychedelic drugs out there, from LSD to MDMA to psilocybin to mescaline, any of them, they're all about one molecule off from each other. They're almost the exact same compound. And what's interesting about MDMA is that people think, oh, I took some X, I'm fucked up. Well, the actual drug itself, the actual compound itself, MDMA, actually doesn't do anything to you. It doesn't, the chemical is not what messes you up. What it does is the MDMA itself causes your pineal gland to naturally flood your body with naturally existing serotonin, which then the sensation of that serotonin flowing throughout your body is what gives you the sensation that you're, fucked up on ecstasy. So what they're saying here in this study is that they have identified that we have these endocannabinoids in our body, which cause foods or marijuana or certain things to naturally activate. That tells us that that's an amazing discovery. So that tells us that marijuana is much like MDMA in the fact that because we have these things naturally there, that's why we're able to feel high and have the effect of marijuana or anything else. Our bodies are naturally made for it. Funny, we've never found anything in the human body that's naturally designed for alcohol, have we? No, we sure haven't. Why? Because alcohol is a poison to the body. But yet, these things they tell us are illegal, and they'll put you away for a long time if you have them or get caught with them. DMT is in our body. Every one of us. We're holding DMT at all times. Every one of us. They put us all in, that'll probably be their next plan. Well, every single person on the earth has DMT in their system, and DMT is illegal, so we need to put everybody on earth in prison. It wouldn't surprise me, would it? So again, the body doesn't have a natural, these things they tell us are illegal, our bodies are naturally designed to respond to. That's an unbelievable breakthrough in science, in something that guaranteed they've been hiding from us up until now. They discovered that when rats tasted something fatty, cells in their upper gut started producing endocannabinoids, sugars and proteins. The researchers noted did not have this effect. The process starts on the tongue, where fats and food generate a signal that travels first to the brain and then through a nerve bundle called the vagus to the intestines. There, the signal stimulates the production of endocannabinoids, which initiates a surge in cells, signaling that prompts the one intake of fatty foods. This most likely occurs by initiating the release of digestive chemicals likened to hunger and satiety that compels us to eat more. Oh, so that also explains why you get the munchies. It's not the marijuana that you're smoking that's giving you the munchies. It's the fact that your body is naturally producing these endocannabinoids, and when you smoke up dope and your body produces enough of them, you get the munchies. It's your body's natural reaction to it. Professor Pio Pamelli said that from an evolutionary standpoint, there's a compelling need for animals to consume fats, which are scarce in nature, but crucial for proper cell functioning. So that's a highly interesting article there. I'll post it in the chat room for you guys. But yeah, that's pretty rad. Scientists have finally created a safe cigarette. New inhaler is a real alternative to electronic devices. Oh, I can't wait to hear this. The new cigarette, which will satisfy nicotine cravings without the danger of lung cancer, emphysema, or heart disease, has achieved almost mythical status in the industry. Although big tobacco firms have been working on healthy smoking for 50 years, the technical and economic hurdles have been too high. But now, recent scientific breakthroughs mean that it could very soon be a reality. And controversially, one of the biggest tobacco companies, BAT, is in talks with British medical regulators to license the world's first genuine safe cigarette. The so-called nicotine delivery product will look, feel, and taste and give exactly the same kick as a normal cigarette, yet with almost none of the health risks associated with tobacco for the smoker or those around them. The first credible cigarette substitutes, called electronic cigarettes, went on sale 4 years ago. The brainchild of Chinese inventor Hong Lick. Han Lick. These were battery-powered plastic cylinders made to look like the real thing, which contain a small vaporizer which delivers a puff of nicotine but no tar to the lungs when sucked. The problem is that many smokers find e-cigarettes unsatisfactory because they don't deliver sufficient nicotine to satisfy their cravings. What's more, e-cigarettes have not been approved by the UK Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency and the government body responsible for ensuring medicines and medical devices work. The non-electric nicotine inhaler, there's no doubt there will be a snappier name when the product arrives on the market, provides, according to its British inventor Alex Hearn, all the psychological cues and sensations of smoking. There are two crucial differences which BAT believes will set it apart and make it the first truly safe cigarette. Principally, the nicotine dose will be higher, and second, BAT is in talks with the MHRA to have their devices licensed as an officially approved tobacco substitute. So we'll see. But this is too funny. And I've got, oh my God, this can't be true. At the bottom of this article, I didn't even know this was real. So Charlie Sheen got into the business of this. It's called Nico Sheen. Look at that picture I put. Is that the gayest thing you've ever seen in your life? They got Charlie looking like a Peter Puffer. Peter Puffer's, Nick O'Sheen, Peter Puffer cigarettes now. Get them, Charlie Sheen approved. You'll be banging hookers in no time as soon as you get this electronic cigarette. You'll wind up drunk, beating your wife, not knowing where you're at, and talking about conspiracy theories on The Alex Jones Show. Get your new Nick O'Sheen today at theglobalreality.com. That is some fucking funny shit. I didn't know that was real. I thought it was fake. I thought it was a parody. I scrolled down that article, and there it is, Nick O'Sheen. Oh, man. I can't even tell what's real and what's not real and what's fake and what's not fake anymore. My God. You guys thought I was making that shit up till you saw the picture, didn't you? I know. I'm not fucking making it up, dude. It really is that. It really is real. Nick O'Sheen. All right, I plugged your product like 6 times, fucker. You ought to send me some for free now. I'll go ahead and hand them out in the gay part of town. Here you go. Take these. They're called Nick O'Sheen. You'll love them. Got a big picture of Charlie on the front looking like he wants to slob your knob. There you go. Take them here. Have fun with that. All right, we're going to take a break, come back, and we'll get into more news and information for you here tonight. Then we're going to get into the Lost Book of Inky as well. If you don't want to get an email in for me to read on the show tonight, if you have a question or anything, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us tonight. And this segment of the broadcast, we're going to finish up with our news, and then we're going to get into also finishing up with tablet number 5. We're almost all the way through tablet number 5 of the Lost Book of Inky. So what we'll do is we'll finish up with our news in this segment of the show, and then we'll get into finishing up tablet number 5, and then we'll take a break again and come back and read some from chapter 6 tonight as well. So glad you could join us. Thanks for staying up late with us. This is the Global Reality on the Global Reality Radio Network with me, Josh Reeves. My website where the broadcast originates from is www.theglobalreality.com, and that's where you'll find links to listen to the show live. The link stream there. You've got, and you can listen to stuff all 24 hours a day. We've got old archive shows. During the weekends, we generally have marathons of shows of the past couple of weeks. I play stuff from Red Ice Radio. We'll play some old Bill Cooper stuff. We'll play, all kinds of different stuff. You never know what you're going to hear here on the network. And we don't have commercials. We don't have, by the way, I did have a little, we have a little text ad thing that's up there now that it's up on the listen thing. It's a little thing. It's, you'll probably see it when you go to find the listen link player, but that's pretty much the extent. Somebody contacted us and wanted to put that little. It's just a little stupid link. It's not even much of anything at all. It's not even very noticeable. But they're going to pay us $250 for a year for that. So I was just like, hey, $250 is $250. We can always use the extra cash here. So, but other than that, we don't have advertising. We don't have sponsors. We don't have anything else. So everything that comes in to keep the network going comes from our listeners out there. So. Please donate and support us today if you can, because we always need your support and to keep going and trying to get films out and the rest of that stuff. So there you go. Let's see what else we have on the list here tonight. A cocktail of up to 20 chemicals in a glass of milk. Antibiotics, growth hormones, and painkillers. 20 painkillers in milk alone. No wonder people fucking drink milk and veg out. Oh no, you don't have to click. No, you don't have to click the shit out of it. I don't get any money from it. I don't get money from every click. If it was that, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should put one of those click things up there, and every time you click it, I get money from it. I'll just have all our listeners go there and click it 100 times a day or something. That's a good idea. Thanks, Michael. Maybe I'll do that. No, unfortunately, it's not one of those. But yeah, 20 different painkillers in a glass of milk. Ugh, that's disgusting. Once I found out it was the placenta sac, I was done with it. I hadn't drank milk in a very long time. Every once in a while, you get a kind of a hankering for some chocolate milk, but not very often. Using a highly sensitive test, they found a host of chemicals used to treat illnesses in animals and in people in samples of cow, goat, and human breast milk. The doses of drugs were far too small to have an effect on anyone drinking them, so they say. But the results highlight how man-made chemicals are now found throughout the food chain. Oh yeah, they find plastic in the bloodstreams of newborn babies now. I mean, it's sick, man. So yeah, there's that one. TSA agent caught with passenger's iPad in his pants allegedly took $50,000 and other goods. Cops say we've documented this extensively here on the broadcast, and we just keep seeing more and more evidence of this. The people that they hire to be these goons for the TSA are exactly that, goons. They'll hire anybody to do it. The more scummy and scuzzbaggy you are, the more likely you are to get hired. You got to be a fucking cocksucker in the first place to go want to do that job. You got to be pretty low down on the food chain of the world to want to go be a TSA. Oh, yeah. Who wakes up in the morning and says, I think I'm going to go be a TSA agent today. Mommy, I want to be a TSA agent and fill people's junk when I grow up.
Suck Satan's cock.
Well, these guys have been doing, that one TSA agent planted coke on that poor girl. Or a bag of powder, made her piss her pants, literally said, you better tell me whose goddamn coke is this right now, or you're going to prison for the rest of your life. Rah! And he goes, oh, I'm just kidding. And he didn't even get a slap on the wrist, nothing. While most Transportation Security Administration employees are busy groping people or taking naked pictures of them, the cops say one of those employees was putting Flyers electronics down his pants. The Broward Sheriff's Office says 30-year-old Nelson Santiago stole around $50,000 worth of electronics over the past 6 months from Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport Terminal 1. Santiago, a TSA officer since 2009, was caught earlier this week by a Continental Airlines employee taking an iPad out of someone's luggage and stuffing it into his pants. After being arrested Monday on 2 counts of grand theft, police say Santiago admitted to stealing computers, GPS devices, video cameras, and other electronic merchandise from luggage he was supposed to be screening. The cops say Santiago would immediately take pictures of his new goods and upload the photos online to sell the stuff. He's running himself a little eBay store out the back of the TSA line. I mean, this is the kind of good quality people they're putting in position of these. I mean, they wonder why people are pissed off, mad about this. But again, we all know this is part of the plan. One of the little pieces to enrage the public and get us hopping mad and getting us wanting armed conflict and at each other's throats so that we're not going after the real people in power. We're going after each other. That's what they're trying to do with all this. All this divide and conquer stuff, all this left, right stuff, all this patriot movement, truth movement, all this stuff. It's all designed to get us fighting with each other, not the real source of all these problems. They'll probably give this guy his job back, tell him good job, and give him a promotion. Wouldn't surprise me. Vietnam-era weapon being used to clear the Amazon. Agent Orange, made by Monsanto, by the way, is one of the most devastating weapons of modern warfare, a chemical which killed or injured an estimated 400,000 people during the Vietnam War. And now it is being used against the Amazon rainforest. Oh, that's great. That damn rainforest don't do nothing getting their damn way anyway. Hell, we put condos up on them rainforests. Send in the Agent Orange. I mean, this is unannounced biological warfare. Unbelievable. According to officials, ranchers in Brazil have begun spraying the highly toxic herbicide over patches of forest as a covert method to illegally clear foliage. More difficult to detect than chainsaws and tractors, in recent weeks, an aerial survey detected some 440 acres of rainforest that have been sprayed with a compound poisoning thousands of trees and an untold number of animals, potentially for generations. Officials from Brazil's environmental agency were first tipped to the illegal clearing by satellite images of the forest in Amazonia. A helicopter flyover in the region later revealed thousands of trees were left ash-colored and defoliated by toxic chemicals. The Brazil Environmental Agency, IBAMA, So they're IBAMA. Instead of Obama, their environmental agency in Brazil's named IBAMA. Seems kind of weird to anybody else but me. I'm just a conspiracy theorist, I guess. IBAMA. No, not Obama, IBAMA. That's their environmental protection agency in Brazil. It just seems funny. IBAMA says that Agent Orange was likely dispersed by aircraft by a yet unidentified rancher to clear the land for pasture because it is more difficult to detect than traditional operations that require chainsaw and tractors. So they're just going in and just spraying, as if we're not having enough problems with the rainforest already. And they're going in and just spraying this stuff in the in the rainforest now. That's just great news. But we have another story here. Speaking about Monsanto, there about Agent Orange. Listen to my dad always used to use the Monsanto's Roundup. He just swore by it, said it was great. He was always using it on his garden and stuff. I always used to tell him, Dad, man, that's fucking Monsanto, dude. You don't need to use that shit, But he swore by it. But listen to this. Monsanto's Roundup linked to deadly diseases and birth defects. Most people have no idea. A recent report put together by various professors, scholars, and researchers affiliated with Earth Open Source, a collaboration group devoted to food issues, cites in great deal the multitude of peer-reviewed scientific studies which show that Monsanto's Roundup herbicide, glyphosate, which is applied to many genetically modified crops, is responsible for causing birth defects, endocrine disruption, DNA damage, reproductive and developmental toxicity, neurotoxicity, and, of course, cancer. And yet government agencies around the world continue to ignore this crucial information and withhold it from the public as they push for its approval and expanded use. One of the main studies highlighted in the report was published in the August 2010 edition of Chemical Research in Toxicology. And it showed that Roundup causes malformations in frog and chicken embryos at levels much lower than those used on agricultural crops. And since Roundup-ready genetically modified crops are designed to tolerate the herbicide, not resist it, they literally absorb Roundup, which is then passed on in much higher levels to humans that eat the tainted crops. Another study conducted as part of the Argentine government. So yeah, again, you got people. My sister's recently turned vegetarian, and or she's eating vegetarian, and she's not turning vegetarian. I made it sound like she's turning lesbian or something. I'm sorry. No, she's eating vegetarian foods now. I'm sorry, Jamie. You're not turning anything. And that's the whole thing with people. You are trying to take better care of themselves and whatnot, and they're eating vegetables and stuff a lot. But how do you know that what you're buying with these, with these plants and these different vegetables? I mean, it's just you don't know if they're any safer than the meat that you're eating that's chock full of hormones and the rest of this stuff. I mean, this is one of the key areas of education comes into play. You've got to educate yourself and find out, exactly what you're getting. Sometimes with these vegetables can be worse than the meat because, when you're getting Roundup and you're getting all the rest of this stuff, some of these chemicals, these herbicides, these things that are poisons are much worse than hormones or even some of the stuff they're putting in the meat in some cases. So this, we've got to educate ourselves on this. Another study conducted as a part of the Argentine government's research group, Concept, found high rates of the same or similar birth defects in humans living near genetically modified soy crops that were routinely sprayed with Roundup. It's unbelievable. More than half of the growing land in Argentina is now dominated by genetically modified soy, which is sprayed with about 53 million gallons of Roundup every single year. 53 million gallons of Roundup every year. Whew. The authors of the report say that this and the bulk of other independent indicting evidence against Roundup has been largely ignored by governments, including in the EU, where new data requirements will demand that proper investigation into the safety of GMOs is conducted. Rather than rely on industry-funded pseudoscience that claims GMOs are safe, authors say that those working for the people must rise to the occasion and take charge in having proper safety evaluations conducted on the safety of Roundup. The public has been kept in the dark by industry and regulators about the ability of glyphosate and Roundup to cause malformations, write the authors in their summary. The work of independent scientists who have drawn attention to the herbicide's tetragenic effects have been ignored, degenerated, or dismissed. They have also contributed to the growing division between independent industry science, which in turn erodes public trust in the regulatory process. So there you go. Good article there. Time Warner, Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and Cablevision systems. Those of you who download stuff off BitTorrent and everything else need to listen to this. Time Warner, Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and Cablevision systems all said Thursday that they were implementing a series of best practices recommendations that would see the connections of subscribers accused of copyright violations slowed down or even temporarily blocked if the alleged offenses continue. The adoption of these policies proposed by the Center for Copyright Information represents another brick in the entertainment industry's firewall against online piracy and a significant defeat for internet freedom advocates. Unlike European three strikes policies, which sever a user's internet connection after the third alleged copyright offense, U.S. providers will not permanently disconnect anyone. Instead, a series of mitigation measures will be implemented to repeatedly notify the user in the event of a copyright infringement allegation. After 3 notices via email, internet service providers may begin to throttle a user's bandwidth, significantly slowing down their access speeds. This is a complete affront. These people should not have the right to mess with any service that you pay for any reason other than proof of a federal crime or a felony or a terrorist activity or whatever have you. Extenuating circumstances where the evidence outweighs, everything, all doubt. But, how do you know? How are they able to tell? I mean, that right there tells you they're tracking and tracing everything you do. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to tell. How are they going to know? How do they know what you're downloading is truly a copyright infringement anyway? Because this is why they've never been able to implement any of this stuff in the first place. Because the law says that if I buy a copy of a DVD or a copy of a CD or whatever it may be, if I buy that and pay for it, and I can make as many copies of it as I want and give them to as many people as I want, underline that word give, so long as there is no money exchanging hands. That's the law. So because they can't, have no way of telling whether someone bought something and then because it's totally legal to make a copy of something and share it with someone that you paid for. It's only when money. So again, who's defining that? Who is the person that gets to decide whether or not you've committed a copyright infringement or something of that nature? Who gets to decide if they throttle your connection and slow down? That's bullshit. They charge out the ass for this bandwidth. They charge you exorbitant prices. You don't pay them one day, they'll come shut it off, but they'll take you 2 more weeks to come turn it back on once you do pay them. And they want to start messing with people's connections over this really loosely defined copyright violation bullshit. Because again, making a copy of something that you've purchased and sharing with somebody else isn't technically illegal. Now, I granted stuff like, cam movies and stuff like that anyway. I got to tell you, I can't even watch those goddamn cam movies anymore. I used to watch those sometimes, and they have gotten a lot better than they used to be. But I've noticed that movies that I've watched, for instance, we were watching the Crystal Skulls Indiana Jones movie earlier tonight, and the only time I'd ever watched that was when it came out, and I watched a crappy a cam version of it. And I can tell you, I enjoyed the movie a lot less watching it on the cam, and enjoyed it so much more when it was, just watching it on a regular DVD copy or whatever. So, I don't really have a problem with that. If they want to crack down on people that are going to these movie theaters and filming movies and putting them up, I don't have a problem with that. It's crap. Most of the time they're crap anyway, and they don't really get to give you a good experience of the film that you're trying to see anyway. If I want to see a movie, I'm going to go see it, or I'll wait for it to come out in good quality. Those cam things are just, I don't know, just a waste of time most of the time. But, that kind of stuff I can see. But all this other stuff, regular. The thing about it is it's just like the Metallica thing. Metallica tried to, when their record label started cracking down on them because they suck. Oh, God, Metallica sucks. Fuck. God, those guys suck. But besides that, you know, when the record labels started cracking down on because they weren't selling any records because their new music sucks, then they started, you know, using the scapegoat of, oh, well, it's because people are pirating our music that we're not selling any copies. Everybody's downloading it all, so we're not selling. No, your music sucks. That's why nobody's buying it. Doesn't have a goddamn thing to do. The thing about it is, people that download music, if you're putting out good stuff, and it's good enough for somebody to want to go download it, and it's that good, people are going to buy your stuff too, and they're going to pay to come see you in concert. They're going to buy your $30 fucking T-shirt or $40 T-shirt. I mean, I used to freak out, man. I started freaking out back in the 90s when T-shirts were like started being $20 or $25 at a concert. Now they're $40 for a T-shirt at a concert, and they're crap shirts in some cases. I've got some band shirts I bought at concerts 8-9 years ago from lower rung bands that you know I can still wear. I got a Rush shirt I got that Delphi bought for me at the Rush concert last year, and the motherfucker has already, I've worn it, you know, I've washed it 6 or 7 times, and after about the third time of washing it, it's already shrunk up like a girly tee or something. And the T-shirt was like $30 or $40, so it's just ridiculous. But if bands would start producing quality stuff, they wouldn't have a problem financially. It's the fact that the record labels are running a racket, and then the artist ends up having no choice but to participate in that racket because they're contractually obligated to be a member of that racket once they sign a deal with a record label. Once you sign a deal with a record label, you sign 2 things. Everybody thinks, oh, you signed a record deal, you're instant millionaire rock star. No, you're actually more enslaved than you are now, than you are when you're an unsigned band, because you signed to them. You're signing a loan agreement, number one, and you are signing away all of your moral rights to participating in a Ponzi scheme and a racket to where you are the loser no matter what you do. That's how they designed it. They designed it so that the artists and the fans lose, and the people who run the big conglomerate record companies who wouldn't know good art or good music bit them on the fucking ass sit up there and make money and lay down judgments on people on their art, and force people to just create crap that they think is going to sell. And it's time that comes crashing down, man. We got to bring an end to that. But the only way we bring an end to it is just like everything else. How do you bring an end to the bullshit music industry? Musicians, fans of music, how do you bring that down? Stop participating in it, right? Create your own system, right? Well, that's a microcosm. Same thing with voting, same thing with government, same thing with any of this stuff. You don't like it, you don't like what it is, don't participate in it anymore. Don't buy their records. Don't listen to their mainstream radio. You know, support artists where you know that are independent, that are putting out their music on their own, and buy it directly from them. Don't buy it through iTunes where there's a middleman. Go directly to the artist and buy their stuff directly from the artist. Cut out the middleman. And demand from the bands that you listen to, and believe me, if you're a fan of a band, bands listen to their fans and what their fans want, always. Most of them do, a lot of them do. And so you should demand from your favorite band that, you know, they take their careers into their own hands. But that's until that happens, it's the same thing microcosmically, same thing macrocosmically with the whole system, you know. It's us participating in their monetary system that keeps it going. It's us participating in their two-party voting system that keeps it going. But a refusal to participate in that won't allow that system to flourish and operate anymore, now will it? Unbelievable stuff here. This must be that global warming I've been hearing so much about. Listen to this. The Atacama Desert region in Chile was coated with its heaviest snow cover in nearly 2 decades. The BBC reported an estimated 31.5 inches piled up in the normally arid region. A cold front moved through the region this week, bringing colder than usual weather, even though it's the southern hemisphere winter. So, normally it's arid and very hot there. 31 inches of snow in the middle of South America. Yeah, that's global warming for you, isn't it? Well, when global warming happens, that means that we get cooler first, and we got ice ages coming. Ice ages mean that the world's getting hotter. I don't know what fuck kind of logic these guys, where they cook this shit up at. That's how stupid they think we are. Well, it's got to get real cold first before it gets real hot. What in the fuck? Interesting article here, and just goes to show you that, you know, we've talked about the antiquities looted from the Iraq National Museum. We talked about the antiquities a bit yesterday on the Red Ice show I did. But listen to this. It appears that a lot of the artifacts that were stolen during the invasion of 2003, a lot of them have been returned. But what's funny about this, when you read this, none of these happen to be any of the cherry stuff that was stolen. This is all like Saddam Hussein's crap, his junk from his palace. But this article here from the Washington Post touts this as if this is some sort of, you know, oh, see, you know, you guys making a big deal about the antiquities. We returned it. You know, this stuff's been returned, 15,000 pieces. Yeah, but none of the real key cherry stuff. Listen to this. And nowhere in this article does it say anything about that. A cache of Iraqi antiquities as well as objects from the Saddam Hussein era were headed home Thursday after being found on military containers at Christie's auctions houses and on Craigslist, among other places. An estimated 15,000 pieces were stolen from Iraq's National Museum in the pillaging after the U.S.-led invasion in 2003, and many more are believed to have been smuggled out since then by U.S. military personnel and contractors. More than half of the items that have turned up in the United States or elsewhere have been repatriated to Iraq, but treasured items remain missing. The looting of the museum was heartbreaking for every Iraqi. It was really an attack against our identity and made us feel that our entire being was threatened. Yeah, you should feel that way. Investigators from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement tracked down the most recent finds as a part of 4 separate investigations in Florida, New Jersey, Texas, and Arkansas. Over the course of several items, the items include a Western Asiatic necklace believed to date to the 2nd or 3rd century BC, serving pieces and utensils inscribed with the crest of Iraq's Ba'ath Party, and a marble slab from one of Hussein's palaces. The slab was initially discovered on Craigslist, where it had been listed for sale by a member of the U.S. Army. Investigators posing as interested buyers contacted the seller online and later met him at his house. When they got there, he led them to his garage where the slab was being kept. He said he obtained it while patrolling towns in Iraq. Approximately 30 items were returned. There are hundreds more to go. But the ambassador said that each repatriation provided some solace. But no talk about any of the Sumerian stuff or Babylonian stuff, you know, just trinkets and junk and, you know, dishware and stuff like that. But they trot this out as if, you know, oh, look, you know, this has been returned. Just forget about it. You know, they've returned the antiquities. Go back to sleep, America. Nothing to worry about. Oh man, this is a sad and tragic story here. This is unbelievable. This I'm having trouble figuring out where this was. I think it was in. It says Nadia, so maybe this. I don't know. Is that India or I don't know. I'm not sure where that's at. To me, I think it's India or something like that. But a 12-year-old girl. Her brother needed a kidney transplant or he was going to die, and her father needed eye surgery or he was going to go blind. And so this 12-year-old girl decided that she was going to kill herself so that her brother could get her kidney and her dad could have his eyes fixed. And, you know, you hear that and you go, well, that's a noble thing to do. And she did stick to her plan, but the suicide note in which she had scribbled down her wishes was found the day after she was cremated. Well, that's just awful. That's terrible. It said that she consumed thiodon, a pesticide. Then she ran to meet her father, who was about a half a kilometer away. She told him that she had dreamt that someone had poured poison into her mouth and her stomach ached. Her alarmed father took her to the local pharmacy immediately, where she was given some medicines, but her condition worsened soon after she had to be rushed to the local hospital. From there, she was referred to another hospital, but the doctors declared her DOA, dead on arrival. It was only the day after her cremation that her father found the note on her bed addressed to her mother. The girl requested her to make use of her eyes and kidneys, so poor girl killed herself to save her family, and they didn't find the note about that until after they'd already cremated her. Man, that's sad. Sad stuff there. A 28-year-old construction worker, listen, this is sad too, fucking Chase Bank. Listen to this shit, Chase Rockefeller Bank. A 28-year-old construction worker was mistakenly thrown in jail after trying to deposit a check at a local Chase Bank. And listen to this. Ikena Nojuku from Auburn, Washington, received a home buyer rebate from the IRS, which Chase Bank sent to him in the form of an $8,463.21 cashier's check. When he tried to cash the check, a teller at his local Chase Bank suspected it was forgery and took it along with his driver's license and credit card to contact bank support. When he arrived at the bank the next day to get his money, he was arrested for trying to cash a fraudulent check and thrown in jail. The following day, on Friday, Chase Special Investigations realized the mistake and left a message with the police department, but Njoku ended up staying in jail until Monday morning. In the meantime, he was fired from his job for failing to show up to work because he was in jail on false pretenses. And then his car was at the bank, and the bank called the towing company, and they towed it. And even after they'd only had it in impound for like 2 days, they sold it at an auction. Now, let me go back. So Chase Bank puts this guy in jail, ruins his life, gets his car sold, makes him lose his job, all from a check that they issued? That's a little fucked up, don't you think? They issued the check he was trying to cash, and he was trying to cash it at the bank that just gave him the check. Now, that's pretty fucked up, and I have to admit that is fucked up, and it's not right, and this is wrong, but let me just say one thing. The guy's name is Ikena Njoku. Now, where do you think he's from? One guess. Probably fucking Zimbabwe or Nigeria or something of that nature, right? How many thousands of Nigerian spam emails have all of us gotten over the past several years? Tons, right? So we're kind of programmed now, and I imagine this probably happens more than this. You know, the poor teller probably saw this man's name, Ikena Njoku, saw this cashier's check for this big amount of money, and probably thought that, you know, he was some Nigerian scam artist, because those are real, they do exist, and they're a pretty bad, pretty bad widespread thing from what I understand. A lot of people have been duped by it, but, you know, I'm not saying that excuses their actions of what they've done, but I'm just saying, you know, it's just the whole system at large that is flawed, not the individuals. Well, we're going to take a break, come back, and in the final segment of the show tonight, we're going to be reading out of the Lost Book of Enki. We're going to finish up with Tablet 5 and get into a little bit of Tablet number 6 for you here tonight on the show. Thanks for staying up late with us. We got one more segment to go. You don't want to miss this. It's going to be getting real good tonight here. We're going to be getting into all of the stuff about genetic manipulation and creating humans and all that. So we'll get into back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. And last segment of the broadcast here for you tonight. We're going to be reading out of the Lost Book of Enki. And I'm trying to figure out where I left off the other night. Like I said, this PDF does weird stuff to me sometimes. But we're at the end of tablet number 5. And we're going to be moving into tablet number 6 here tonight. Let's see. Okay, we read this last week, the judging of Abzu. We read that. We finished up that. What was not conceived of was the unrest by the new coming Anunnaki who in the Abzu toiled. Okay, that's where we left off. Truth be said, Inky, to what was brewing, heed was not given. So they're saying that, you know, the Anunnaki who were sent to Earth to mine the gold were getting, you know, they were getting tired and restless. They were mad because, you know, they were essentially given a death sentence coming to Earth. Because Nibiru has such a long orbit, you know, what is it, 3,600 years or something like that. So each one of their years, which they refer to as a shar, S-H-A-R, shar, a shar on Nibiru, one travel around the sun is 3,600 years. So, you know, these people are used to living, you know, well, we go once around the sun every day. So they're coming to Earth and, you know, they're reaching old age at a much faster pace, and it's not allowing them to keep up. So they need something that, you know, they basically are getting ready to revolt because nobody's listening to their ails. No, and that's what it's saying here. No, Abzu was not paying attention. Of the differences between on what is on Earth and what else in Nibiru appeared, and he wished to learn how the maladies of Earth cycles and the atmospheres were caused. He wished to uncover. In the Abzu, by the gushing waters, a wondrous study place he erected. With all manner of tools and equipment, he furnished it. House of Life, he called its place. And to his son, Ningishida, he invited. Sacred formulas, tiny MEs, the secrets of life and death possessing they shaped. Absorbed in Enki was those studies. And it was among the Anunnaki, he noticed the brewing of the unrest. First to notice the trouble was Ninurta, a lessening of gold ores he had discovered. By Enlil, Ninurta was explaining what was going on. Unbearable is the toil, Ninurta was saying. Ninurta said this to his uncle Enki. Let us summon Enlil, Enki said. Enlil arrived in the Abzu, in a house near the excavations he was stationed. Let us unnerve Enlil in his dwelling, the mine-working heroes shouted. Of the heavy work, let him relieve us. Let us proclaim war with hostilities. Let us gain relief, others shouted. The Anunnaki in the excavations, the words of incitement heeded. To their tools they set fire. Fire to their axes they put. They troubled Inugi, chief officer of the mining in the tunnels. They seized him. They held him as they went to the doorway of Enlil's dwelling. It was night and halfway through the watch. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I felt it coming. Enlil's dwelling was surrounded. They had their tools held as torches high in the air. Kalkal, the gateway's guardian, bolted the door and aroused Nusku. Nusku, Enlil's vizier, roused his lord, got him out of bed, and said, "My lord, your house is surrounded by battling Anunnaki." Enlil summoned Enki to his presence. What do my own eyes see? Is it against me that this thing is done? Thus was Enlil to them saying, who is of the hostilities? Who is the instigator of these hostilities? Who's the one that is trying to get this going here? Who's responsible for this? Thus Enlil was saying to them, who is the instigator of these hostilities? Every single one of us has these hostilities, the Anunnaki declared. The toil is excessive. Our work is heavy. The distress is great. The work is causing the trouble. Enki to Anu was saying, the lamentation is heavy. Every day the complaints we hear. The gold must be obtained, Anu was saying. The work must continue. Release Anugi for consolations, Enlil to the hostile Anunnaki said. Anugi was released to the leaders, and he said, ever since Earth's heat has been rising, the toil is excruciating and unbearable to us. Let the rebels return to Nibiru. Let new ones come in their steed. Their steed is their ship or their chariot or whatever that's what they refer to as their ship. Perchance you can fashion new tools, Enlil said to Enki. For the Anunnaki heroes to avoid the tunnels. Let us summon my son, and they make reference to these tunnels. As if they found tunnels that were already existing that were under the ground. See, as if the inner earth, world was already there prior to the Anunnaki coming to the earth. That's where they reference that a couple of times, and you don't ever see people really key in on that. I've noticed this a couple of times since I've been reading this, that they reference when they were digging into the earth to find the gold, they found all these massive tunnel systems under the earth, and they had to find a way around them. So I think that goes a long way towards this idea that, the whole inner earth thing was there long before there were humans on the earth. Let me summon my son Ningashita and take counsel with him. They summoned him to the house of life. He huddled with Enki and exchanged words with him. Enki said that a solution is possible. Let us create a Lulu, L-U-L-U, a Lulu. That's a human, a primitive worker. The hardship work they will take over. Let this being carry the toil of the Anunnaki on his back. Astounded were the besieged leaders, speechless indeed they were. Who ever heard of a being created fresh? A worker who can do the work of the Anunnaki. They summoned Ninma, one who of healing and succor was much knowing. Enki's words to her they repeated. Who ever heard of such a thing? To her they asked. The task is unheard of, she said to Enki. All beings have a seed from which they have descended. So that's an interesting conundrum there, isn't it? And that's why at the beginning of this book, they describe the genealogical and historical record of the Anunnaki and the importance of the bloodlines to them, and they describe their entire lineage on Nibiru, and that was a very interesting sort of capsule thing to look at, because it tells us 100% why the importance of the bloodlines is there for the elite running Earth today. And so right here, Ninma says, we can't just create a being out of nothing. It's not right. A being has to have a seed, or, has to have a lineage of something they came from. And as we're going to see from reading this, from what I understand from my research, the problem they had with humans and why they wanted humans to be destroyed, and Lil wanted humans to be destroyed, was the fact that, the humans started to revolt. Because when they used their own DNA to make this slave worker, as we've read here, these Anunnaki weren't slaves. It was genetically imbibed into their structure of their bodies. They're not slaves. They were princes. They were kings. And so they overlooked the fact that when they tried to make their slave race out of them, they were inadvertently created a being, us humans, who will never, ever succumb to being enslaved. That's why they've had to resort to fluoride in the water and MSG in the food and chemtrails and electromagnetic brain entrainment like HARP and the programming of Madison Avenue and Edward Bernays and of the school systems. They had to create all of this stuff, folks, to distract us from the fact that we are genetically not inclined to be slaves. And so each and every one of you out there, from now on, in your daily life, when you're doing your slave job or whatever it is, always remember, never forget that you are not designed to be a slave. So your lack of wanting to participate in their system has, people try to tell you, oh, you're just a bum, or you're just lazy, or you're blah, 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 because you don't want to have a job and work in their system. You're a bum, you're lazy. No. You are trying to call me names because you are not hip to the fact that you are not supposed to be a slave. Just because you're comfortable in your slavery doesn't mean me or you or anybody else has to be. We were not meant to be slaves. It was a misjudgment. They made a mistake. They thought they could just, create something on this planet out of some stuff that was existing there and have themselves a slave race and, to do their work, and they'd be done with it. But it was a big-time error in judgment on their fact, and we see that from their other history of what we've read, and this is why Enki, who was also what y'all wanted, these texts that we're reading, the Lost Book of Enki, for those of you that don't know, these texts are the very core texts that the elite have not wanted us to see for years and years and years and have wanted us to misinterpret, because these are the texts that he set up the Brotherhood of the Snake with, the Brotherhood of the Serpents. This is the stuff that mankind is supposed to know. And the reason we're supposed to know this is we're supposed to know that our true ancestors made all of the mistakes, nuclear war, they killed their planet, they made all these mistakes with technology, warfare, they wiped out most of their planet with nuclear weapons. And Enki says at the beginning of this that the reason he's having the person scribe this and write it down and put it there for mankind is so that mankind can find out what their forefathers did. And since we are from them and from their DNA, we have a very good chance, and of course, more than a chance, it's here, of going down the same road that they went down. But if you have this information, you can keep our planet from going down the same road these Anunnaki went down, allegedly, then their whole system comes crumbling down, doesn't it? This is why the priest class and the Vatican and the Jesuit order and all this stuff were created. To give people bullshit stories and not give them the context about things that could change the whole course of human history just by knowing and understanding them. This is our calling here. They are telling us, look, don't go down the same route we did. Don't do what we did to your planet. And this is why people have, tried to downplay this text and try to get you to not look at it and hear it. Well, that's why we're reading it on the air, because no more. You are not supposed to be a slave, and you should never feel bad about not succumbing to someone who wants to enslave you, be it emotionally or financially or anything else. All beings have descended from a seed, one being from another over eons to develop us. No one ever came from nothing. How right you are, my sister, Enki said, smiling. A secret of the Abzu let me reveal to you all. The being that we need already exists. All that we have to do is put on it the mark of our essence. Thereby a Lulu, a primitive worker, shall be created. So Enki did say to them, let us hereby make a decision and give blessing to my plan to create a primitive worker by the mark of our essence and fashion him. So that looks like that's the end of tablet number 5. Let me scroll down here. Yeah, and this is the synopsis of tablet number 6. We're going to be reading some of that here for you. To the incredulous leadership, Enki reveals a secret. In the Abzu there roams a wild being akin to the Anunnaki. By augmenting its life essence with that of the Anunnaki, it can be upgraded to be an intelligent primitive worker. Now, these parts, now this is the key thing that people need to understand. These parts right here that I'm reading that are in good English, their synopsis of each tablet, these are the parts that are actually written by Zechariah Sitchin. He's writing basically a little synopsis on what the tablet says. So don't confuse that with the actual translations themselves. Now, you can actually get, ones that have been printed off and stuff like that, Sumerian text, and get code keys for Sumerian language and interpret this stuff for what you can. But because, of Sitchin's supposed connection to the CIA, which we've never seen documentation, but, different things like that in stuff that, well, he also says that they're coming that the Anunnaki want to come and save us, which runs contrary to Christianity. So he's been demonized for a lot of reasons, and I'm not necessarily saying the guy's right either, but the fact of the matter is, these texts are there, and there has been a massive campaign throughout alternative media, mainstream media, and everything else to keep us from ever looking at this, and they always just say, oh, Zechariah Sitchin's a spook or whatever else. He's a clown, don't listen to him. And so then people don't ever actually get a chance to understand and read and find out that these are actual real texts. These are 5,000-year-old texts that came from the Sumerian kingdom. It's there. You can do this yourself. So these little synopsises here are what's written by him, but I'm going to skip the synopsis and just get right into the 6th tablet. We will create a primitive worker. We will fashion him by the mark of our essence, Enki said to the leaders. The being that we need already exists. Thus did Enki tell them the secret of the Abzu. With astonishment, the other leaders heard Enki's words and were fascinated. There are creatures in the Abzu, Enki was saying. They walk erect on 2 legs. Their forelegs they use as arms. With hands they are provided. Among the animals of the steppe they live. They do not dress in any garments. They do not wear clothes. They eat plants with their mouths. They drink water from the lake and the ditch. Shaggy with hair is their whole body. Their head hair is like a lion's. With gazelles they jostle. With teeming creatures in the waters they delight. The leaders to Enki's words were listened to with amazement. No creature like that has ever been seen in the Eden, Enlil said, disbelieving. Eons ago, on Nibiru, our predecessors like that may have been. Ninmah was saying, it is a being. It is a being, not a creature. To behold it must surely be a thrill, Ninmah said. To the house of life, Enki led them. There in strong cages were some of the beings. At the sight of Enki and the others, they jumped up with fists on the cage bars they were beating. They were grunting and snorting, making no words. Male and female they are, Enki was saying. Male hoods and female hoods they have. They have, parts. Like us from Nibiru coming, they are procreating. Ningishita, my son, their fashioning essence has tested. Akin to ours it is. Like 2 serpents, it is intertwined. Right there. So the essence, that's why he said we had to give them add our essence to them. So when they refer to essence, they're talking about DNA. Because he says, just like ours, it is entwined like 2 serpents. That's why in the ancient Sumerian different buildings and stuff and structures that you see the caduceus there for the first time. That's what that represented. When their life essence and our life essence is combined, our mark shall be upon them. A primitive worker shall be created. Our commands he will understand. Our tools he will handle. He shall perform the toil in the excavations. To the Anunnaki, in the form of the Abzu, relief shall come. So with enthusiasm, Enki was saying, with the excitement of his words, Enlil was hesitating. This matter is one of great importance. On our planet, slavery has been abolished long ago. Tools are the slaves, not other beings. So you see, they're having problems with this because, they know slavery's not right. They know they're not slaves. So, they're having a sort of moral conflict here of making another being, enslaved, which well, with good reason. You should always be against enslaving another being of any kind. A new creature, non-existing, you wish to bring into being. Creation in the hands of the Father of all beginning alone is hell. See, they're saying, no, we can't play God. But that's exactly what they did. And these fuckers just went around all over the planet setting up shop, telling the poor people of Earth they were gods. And giving them some technology. I mean, all the religions of the world are based on this. So Enlil, in opposing, was saying, stern in his words, Enki said to his brother, not slaves, but helpers is my plan. It sounds like New World Order speak, doesn't it? Oh, no, they're not slaves. They're helpers. It's not a draft. It's a mandatory service. Nice doublespeak there. Nice to see the doublespeak goes back, longer than just our civilization. The doublespeak and Machiavellianism is nothing new. It's been around for a very long time. Not a new creature, but one existing more in our image will be made, Enki said. With a little change, it can be achieved. Only a drop of our essence is needed. So only a little bit of our DNA that's what they thought. That's what they thought. They thought that only a little bit, but what they found out is to get what they really want to get a really good one, they had to use the most of their DNA, and what they ended up doing was they ended up using the most of their DNA with the white-skinned people that were found in the Caucasus Mountains region, and those became the Caucasoids, and those were the ones that were made with the most Anunnaki DNA, and since they were white, those are the ones that were put in positions of kingship, and to this day, that's where the whole origins of white power and white supremacy and all that stuff come from, because they believe that because they were made with the most essence of the gods, that's why, the divine right to rule for white people is there. That's honestly, that's where it comes from. That's the root of it. A grave matter it is. It is not to my liking, Enlil was saying. It is against the rules of planets. By the rules of Earth, coming to it was forbidden. To obtain gold was our purpose. To replace the Father of all beginning, it was not. So we came here to get gold. We didn't come here to become God. After Enlil thus had spoken, Ninmah was the one to respond. My brother, Ninmah said to Enlil, with wisdom and understanding has the Father of all beginning endowed to us. To what purpose have we so been perfected, unless it is to make use of it? With wisdom and understanding, the Creator of all has filled our essence. To whatever using it we are capable of, is it not that for which we have been destined? With that which in our essence was granted, tools and chariots we have perfected. Mountains with terror weapons we have shattered. Skies with gold we are healing. So was Ninurta to his giving birth mother, saying, let us with wisdom fashion new tools, not create new beings. Let by new equipments the toil be relieved, not by slave beings. Where does our understanding lead us? Does it lead us to that which we have been destined? What knowledge we possess, we cannot prevent its use. Destiny indeed cannot be altered. From the beginning to the end, it has been determined. To them, Enlil was saying, destiny it is, or fate it is. That to this planet we have brought no gold from the waters. To put Anunnaki heroes excavating the toil a primitive worker created to do its planning? My kinfolk, is the question. So they're saying, is it destiny or is it fate? Because, the Anunnaki are saying, we believe that everything that is supposed to happen is going to happen. But how do they know if it's destiny or if it's fate for them to create the slave race? I think it would be very realistic from our perspective right now today to say that it was destiny, wouldn't it? Is it from the beginning ordained, or is this coming about from us choosing it? See, it's a quandary. It's a philosophical quandary. Because they're saying, by us creating this new people, we're going to change the whole face of everything, of the whole universe. For the first time, we're going to create that's why we have so many questions. That's why we don't know where we came from. We haven't been allowed to know where we've come from. Because according to the Anunnaki, everything else in the universe, every other creature in the universe knows full well where their species originated from, but we don't. And so they're saying, is that destiny? Is that fate? If we make it happen, then it's fate. It's not destiny. So it's a philosophical quandary. They decided to put the matter before Anu, and they presented the council, the matter before the council. The elders, the savants, the commanders were all consulted. Long and bitter were the discussions of life and death, fate and destiny. Can there be another way to obtain the goal? Survival is in danger. If gold must be obtained, let the being be fashioned. The council decided. So it shows you here that, sort of the regular people on the ground of the situation were having, philosophical quandaries about whether or not they should do this genetic manipulation or not. But of course, much of the same way as it is on Earth, they went and took it before, the High Council. The High Council says, yeah, fuck it, do it. Do whatever you're going to do. We've got to achieve our master plan. So who gives a fuck if we mess up the natural order of things? Create a fucking being, get the fucking gold, let's go, let's do this right now. What are you waiting for? Go, go, go. Don't ask questions, do it. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Let Anu forsake the rules of planetary journeys. Let Nibiru be saved. From Anu's palace, the decision to Earth was beamed. It delighted Enki. Let Ninmah be the helper of such matters. She has understanding in this. At Ninmah with a longing he was gazing. Let it so be, Ninmah was saying. Let it so be, Enlil said. By Inugi was the decision to the Anunnaki and the Abzu announced. Until the being is achieved, to the toil willingly you must return. So they said, hey, that's fine. We'll build you guys a new fucking slave race, but your asses are going to have to get in there and mine that gold till we get this shit done, We can breed enough of these fuckers to take over. And so they were like, all right, we won't rebel. So there was disappointment, but rebellion there was not. To the toil, the Anunnaki returned. And the House of Life in the Abzu, how to fashion the being Enki to Ninmah was explaining. So he starts talking to his sister Ninmah about how they're going to create the slave race and how they're going to do it and the technicalities of it. So page 132 is where we're leaving off. Help me remember that for tomorrow's show. There will be a show tomorrow on Friday night, so make sure you guys tune in for that tomorrow night. 132. Got to remember that. That's where we're picking up at tomorrow night. Good stuff there. And again, it just, from reading William Brownlee's Godspeed to reading this, it just becomes, all the questions we've always had about ourselves, where we came from, our planet, how we fight the New World Order, how we do this, and, all this stuff. This is it. This is why the intelligentsia of the Truth Movement, Patriot Movement has told you not to look at this stuff, not to look into this information. That's why the Jesuit connections, the Knights of Malta connections, and the CMP stuff I've been harping about for years, that's even though I didn't know at the time when I first started talking about it, now I know why that information is important. I know now more than ever. It's because it's that priest class, that the Knights of Malta, the Jesuits, the Vatican, it's that priest class that is keeping this information from us. And that, in turn, is what is keeping the entire world system in place. So for me, you know, I've just really seen a major importance on trying to not just, you know, not for everybody to gain an understanding for this, but just specifically for myself and for you, the audience, to gain an understanding of this stuff and really what it is they were saying in these texts, not just some, you know, conspiracy theorist synopsis of it, reading it for ourselves and deciding what is what. And, well, it's fascinating stuff. I'll tell you that. Folks, theglobalreality.com is our website. We do need your support right now more than ever. Please donate if you can. The chipping banner's there. The donate button's there. We haven't got in too much this week, so we need some support right now if you can. So thank you so much to everybody out there. My name's Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. We'll see you tomorrow for the broadcast. You guys have a great night. Take care.